Hello folks. We often talk about prepping for ourselves and our family members, but we often forget our pets. In every disaster we see articles on lost or abandoned animals, so I would like to discuss how we are preparing to take our pets with us if we have a scenario where we have to bug out. First, if you are forced to leave your home, make sure that where you are going can accommodate your pets, whether that be family, friends, a hotel, or a shelter. Some shelters are required to have facilities for pets, others are prohibited from allowing your pets. It is best to know the answer to that up front. Also, not all hotels are pet friendly, and some of your relatives may actually have allergies to your pets. So just like my other videos, I am going to try to group the items required according to the rule of threes. 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food, followed by first aid and miscellaneous items. So first, let's think about air. I have never seen an N95 mask for a dog or a cat, or goggles that a cat will let you put on them for any length of time. But a low-tech solution might be to wrap your pet's crate with a finely woven sheet. This should cut down on the smoke or dust that gets into your cat's or dog's eyes or lungs. But care must be taken to make sure that there's proper ventilation for your pet so that they can breathe and so that they do not overheat. Now let's look at shelter. There are a number of things to consider here. When looking at crates and carriers for transport, make sure the carrier is not only large enough to transport the animal, but also large enough for the animal to live in once you reach your destination. For this reason, I do not recommend the soft-sided carriers or small cat and dog carriers like the one shown in the upper right-hand side. Also, when I store the large crates, I tend to leave a pad inside. This makes one less thing to have to grab in an emergency. Another reason to pick the larger size crate, even for a small cat, is that it will give you a place to put the kitty litter. Now, some of the other things that you should consider in the shelter category are a tarp to put over the crate in case your pet needs to stay outside when you reach your destination. I'm showing a little blue one there. This will provide protection from the sun, wind, and rain. And you can actually, if you throw in some tent stakes, you can create a larger area as opposed to just wrapping the crate. Also consider providing an old blanket for your animal to cuddle up in. Something that smells like home will definitely help relieve their stress. You may also want to consider adding a hot or cold pack for your pet. These can sometimes be problematic with dogs because you want to be careful that they do not chew on them. There are different pads that are electronic, although that creates a problem of wherever you're going must have electricity in order for it to work. If it's winter and you have a short-haired breed, you may want to look at bringing an insulated dog jacket and or booties to protect their feet. While the cat may be content to hide in the cage with a litter pan, your dog will definitely need exercise. Make sure you include a harness, a leash, a rope line, and an anchor. If you don't happen to have a rope line with a dedicated anchor, what you can use is simply loop your leash through its handle, attach it to a long line of rope like I'm showing here. You can tie it between a couple trees at about waist height. You can tie it between a couple cars using their tie-outs, and it will give your dog a place to move back and forth as opposed to just sitting in his cage. The next category is water. Your pets need just as much water as you do. Make sure that you are planning for them when setting aside supplies. The main thing you need here is a bowl. I recommend the ones that can be secured to the carrier, as cats seem to delight in tipping over their water dish and creating a total mess in the crate. So I have some little white ones that mount to the cage, and then some stainless steel ones as well that also mount to the cage. On the right hand side, I also show a couple collapsible bowls. The green one is kind of a Tupperware Rubbermaid version. There are several different manufacturers of these that collapse down flat, and then also a fabric bowl. The fabric bowls are a little bit hard to clean, but they do win out on the space category for packing. Food is similar to water in that you need to remember to include your pet supplies in your stockpile. I provided a link below to a company that offers pet food that can be stored for up to 10 years. The challenge here is that it has to be something that your pet will eat. And second, Switching your pet's food is usually a recipe for making them ill. You need to gradually transition their food supply. So grab your current food along with any long-term storage items you have if you are in fact bugging out to another location. Also, in this category, make sure you have a can opener and can saver lids if you are planning on using wet food. There's nothing worse than trying to open a pull-top can and rip off the pull top, but still leave the can closed. If you're in a shelter that is providing support for pets, you can't always guarantee that the cans that they will have the nice, easy-to-use pull-top lids. So having that can opener is something that you should definitely make sure you are including. Now let's look at first aid and documentation, as these are somewhat related. Make sure you have a large envelope with all the documentation for your pet. Some people go to the extra step of putting all this information on a thumb drive, but there may not be a computer where you are going. At a minimum, I recommend the following. Documentation for all recent vaccinations and boosters, especially rabies. Make sure you have collars and ID tags for all your pets. Make sure you have flea, tick, and heartworm medication. Have a couple photos of your pet in case he or she gets loose or lost. It is best to have another family member in the photo as well to help prove ownership. Microchip your pet in advance as well, as this will increase your chances of being reunited if your pet becomes lost. Think about including a mini first aid kit, claw trimmer, brush, Dermabond, gauze wrap, tape, tweezers for ticks. I find it very important to include a towel to wrap your cat. I like to say, remember a cat is sharp on 5 of his 6 ends and treat him accordingly. Wrapping up a stressed cat in a towel will help you control him or her and will greatly aid you in getting them into and out of a crate. Obviously, for the cats, don't forget the kitty litter, the pan, the scoop, and for your dog, the doggy doo-doo bags. The doo-doo bags also come in handy for when you're emptying the litter, scooping out those fun little gifts. Also, include cleaning supplies, paper towel, rags, and a spray bottle of cleaner. Cats and dogs seem to be able to vomit on command when traveling or stressed. This brings us finally to miscellaneous items. First, I'd recommend that you'd have a bag to put all this stuff in. You can go with a simple duffel bag, or you can look at a backpack for your dog. These are kind of cool, but are limited on volume, so you probably still have to pack that extra bag. If you are traveling with a dog, you may want to look at a harness that connects to a seatbelt. This would allow you to leave the crate collapsed while traveling and allowing more space for cargo. Finally, bring some treats and toys and catnip for your pet. They will be just as stressed as you, and this will help comfort them and make them easier to control. Well, those are my recommendations for traveling and bugging out with pets. I should mention that I have 3 cats and a dog who have gone on road trips with me. I am interested in your thoughts and recommendations on this list of items that I have presented. Please leave your questions and suggestions in the comment section. As always, thanks for watching, and please subscribe.